how's it going? So the new season's starting. Cups are started this past week, and today I'm just gonna go over the decks that I would play and the deck list that I would start with, and probably just the ones that I would use. I always kind of like mess with stuff though before I play it, so I might like change a card or two right as I'm about to play, and I'll probably go over that. I can't put all the lists in the description because that would be just too many characters. So I'll put them up on screen at some point with like the full list so you can screenshot it if you want it. But I'm going to start off with my first pick of what I would play if like you don't have any decks. Like if you're kind of a newer player and there's no decks that you've just been practicing, the main thing I would say is for like people that are newer to the game, like this is your first competitive season or whatever, just pick a deck and play it for the whole season. That's like going to benefit you more than any like kind of metagaming or anything would. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I know that's what I did when I started playing. I played the same deck, and then that deck rotated, and then I played a different deck, and then I would switch it like when the deck became bad, but I picked an A tier deck and just played it, and that worked pretty well for me. But I think Future is pretty good right now, like the Future deck, the Iron Hands Future deck, and this is kind of the list that I would start with right now. The only things that I was thinking about changing was cutting a Nest Ball and the Super Rod for 2 Pokegear, because I borrowed my buddy's deck the other day, and I don't know exactly how similar it was to this, but it had 2 Pokegear in it, and that felt pretty good. I don't think it had the Town Store. I think it just had the Vacuum. I'm not sure what the other difference, maybe 14 Lightning. You could cut the Psychic and go to a 14th Lightning if you're not expecting like Snorlax or anything. But I kind of like the Psychic to be able to threaten Miraidon at some point, but it might just not be needed anymore. The Iron Hands is pretty straightforward, simple deck. There's only a couple of weird decisions that you can make. A couple things I would say about the deck is charge up as much with Miraidon as you can. Like, don't go charging up 1 Iron Hands and then be like, well, if they vacuum my Heavy Baton and knock this out, I lose. If you have a chance, like charge up a second Iron Hands or Iron Thorns, and that'll kind of go a long way. I noticed like just taking the slightly safer play of having 2 attackers at any time, 2 options of attackers instead of 1 attacker fully built up, like maybe 2 energies on Hands and 2 energies on Thorns. That was working out pretty well. That way I couldn't just get one of my guys knocked out and taken out of the game. This has a lot of good matchups right now. I think Charizard is probably the hardest matchup, as well as Raging Bolt is kind of hard, but they're definitely winnable. Raging Bolt, if they put their Mew or their Walkabilly in play, you can kind of try to go for a 3-3 prize trade by like hitting into a Bolt with the baby Miraidon for as much as you can, and then trying to amp you very much, take 3 on the Raging Bolt, and then take 3 on a Squawk or a Mew. Charizard is kind of weird. I think this is kind of how I think the matchup should go for this deck. You want to not take a prize with Miraidon right away, because then they can just go counter catcher up whatever you put the energy on and Defiance Band, knock it out, and that is not good. So if you can, don't take a prize with the Miraidon. Try and charge up as many guys as you can, or charge up the Iron Thorns. Hopefully you can get that into the active before they evolve, and that should hopefully stop them from being able to do a lot. Or if you can just stick it into, you get the Thorns in the active probably as soon as you can start attacking with it. They can't use their Pidgeot, which might kind of set them back a little bit. I'm in between if you even want to build anything up with Miraidon, or if you want to just retreat right into the Iron Thorns. I don't know, that you got to figure that out, because that gives them a lot of time to find the energies to attach. I definitely got to test the matchup more if this is the deck that I'm going to be playing more. That I want to kind of find one deck to stick to, because that does seem to be doing very well for people. But Iron Hand's very good deck. Another good choice for more of well, for anyone, but definitely a good choice for newer players, is Raging Bolt Ogerpon. It's a very strong deck. It's pretty straightforward. You can win a lot of games just by attaching energy and blowing stuff up. Pretty, like, it's not super limited to that, but I'm playing the Teal Mask Ogerpon right now. I noticed a lot of people are playing it. I never cut it because Charizard's been really good this whole time, but people just have kind of been not playing it as much. I do expect to see more Charizards moving forward, though. But I'm only playing 3 Ogerpon and 3 Raging Bolt. That's a little controversial. The 3 Ogerpon kind of gets made up for by the Sandy Shocks EX. 3 Raging Bolt is, you can play 4 if you want. It definitely isn't a bad thing. You can just cut like a Pokegear or trekking shoes, I guess. But also cut the 4th fighting for the 6th grass energy. But this is kind of the list I've been going with. I don't know how similar it is to any other list, but it's super straightforward. You get off the turn 1 280 almost every single game. I like it a lot. You got the 4 Pokegear, 4 trekking shoes, 2 jamming tower. That's to try and beat Gardy or help in the Gardy matchup. If you know you're playing Gardy, you could try and go first, just slam that down, or even go second, take a knockout and play jamming tower. Hopefully, if they're not playing the Hyper Aroma, they might have a hard time finding their Curlias because Gardy's not playing many Ultra Balls right now. Only 3 energy retrieval. I don't know if people are playing 4 or not right now, but a 4th might be fine. I've been fine. I found that 3 works out for most games that I've played with it. I haven't run out of energy, but this is kind of the list that I like. And while we're on that kind of thing, Miraidon is also another good choice along the same lines as the Iron Hands deck and the Raging Bolt deck. Miraidon has a much harder time into Charizard than all these other decks. Miraidon, though, if you're playing against Zard, you do want to just try and get 3 energy or as many as possible. Well, 3 is fine because you're probably not going to bench anything else if you can. Onto an Iron Thorns, get that thing in the active, and try and slow down the game as much as possible. Try and take a few prizes with it. If you can get it alone and play, that would be pretty ideal. There's no way to pick up Pokemon, so you just have to start it. But at some point you have to put other stuff down or you are just going to lose. They're eventually going to find their energy and stuff. But Miraidon's a very strong deck. You got Raichu for big one-shots at the end of the game. Yep, good deck. While we're on Lightning, guys, I guess we'll do Iron Thorns next. I think this deck is pretty good. I don't know if I'd say really good, but it's definitely strong. Being able to shut off abilities. This deck, unlike the others, you're guaranteed to start your Iron Thorns. Your opponent's not going to have access to these abilities the whole game. This is basically Ross Cawthorn's list. I cut a Lost City for a canceling clone, and I'm not sure what else I cut. I think I changed like 1 or 2 other things, but this deck's pretty straightforward. You're just going to attach to your Thorns, attack, use Crushing Hammers, try to canceling clone Lost City, any Manaphy that you come across. Or not Manaphy, Mimikyu. If you know that like no one's gonna play Mimikyu at your locals, you can just cut the canceling clones for really whatever you want. You could do like another Vessel, another Radar, really whatever. Definitely a decent choice. I also like Ancient Box a lot right now. It's a fun deck. These one prize like put stuff in the discard pile decks are always a lot of fun to me. This is the list I'm playing right now. I have 2 Walking Wake and 1 Screamtail. Just I don't know which one's better. Like Screamtail with a Ancient Capsule doesn't get one shot by Iron Hands and like Miraidon decks. Walking Wake does. You don't want to put either of them in play, but if you start one, that's kind of why they're in the deck, because they have 1 retreat. So if you start it, you can still retreat it kind of easily. Or very easily in this version, because I am playing the Tatsugiri still. I played this at a couple of my locals. I've done well every time I've played it. I like the Tatsugiri. No one else is. I've noticed a lot of people haven't been playing it. No one. I've never seen anyone play it, but it works good. It gives you rescue boards in the deck. They go with the Tatsu, which can retreat your fluttermanes. Whatever can help you retreat anything. It's nice to have a pivot in this deck. I'm still playing the secret box. I really like that in this deck. It's been really good. Oh, this list has an enhanced hammer still. What did I cut for that? Oh, I cut either 3rd Super Rod or 2nd Pal Pad. can be the enhanced hammer spot. That's just something I was kind of testing out online. You could even play 4th Ultra Ball. It probably actually should be a 4th or one more ancient Pokemon, either a 3rd Walking Wake, a 2nd Screamtail, or a 4th Walking Wake if you want to go all Walking Wakes. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be. It can come in handy against like Dragapult, because Dragapult's a bad matchup for this deck. I've had a lot of trouble into it. They win eventually. It's really hard to knock out Dragapults. You're so unlikely to be one-shotting them. They put on a lot of pressure. That and Charizard are going to be really hard matchups for this deck. And even the Iron Hands deck, it can be very hard. But other than that, you have pretty decent matchups. So Ancient, I think it's definitely a good deck. Also, I don't think that Gholdengo is terrible right now. It was feeling pretty good when I was playing it. This is definitely something you'd have to test a little more. But this is the list that I would play. It's JW and Jesse Parker's list from NAIC. I just cut the Silene for something. Turo, I think. I can't remember what I cut it for. Oh, it was I think a 2nd energy retrieval because they were only playing 1. But yeah, Gholdengo's pretty fine. I think you could definitely win some locals with Gholdengo. This is my Gardevoir Drifloon deck right now. The list, I'm playing the Mimikyu. I think with Charizard, people are realizing how good it is. You kind of want the Mimikyu. This has a 60 HP memory skip Ralts. You can either play that or not. It really doesn't matter. You can also play the Ralts that does 30 damage. But the only reason to not play the 60 HP one is Dragapult can knock it out off the bench. It gets knocked out easier by Sableye. Monkey Dory can knock it out over 2 turns, but I think this is pretty similar to what people are playing. There is only one Monkey Dory in here. You could cut a Nest Ball for a 2nd Monkey. I wouldn't hate that. It's pretty good, or would be pretty good. And I thought I had a Sinnoh in here, but I think I cut it for a Lost Vacuum for kind of the mirror tech. It's good against a lot of matchups. It'll help against Iron Hands decks. It'll help a little bit in mirror if they knock out your EX with a Drifloon. You can vacuum, take 2 prizes. Still running. This is the Unfair Stamp version as well. I like the Unfair Stamp's just so much more powerful than Hyper Aroma. Hyper Aroma is really nice for consistency. There's just a lot of games when you're playing it that you kind of just wish it was Unfair Stamp if you're able to like set up fine without it. This is the version of Gardy I personally like playing a little bit better. I don't necessarily think that it's stronger, but it's like Henry Chow's list. It's got the 2 Monkey Dory, 3 Dark, 7 Psychic. In real life, I've been running 2 Dark, 8 Psychic. I've liked that a lot. It's got 1 Luxurious Cape and then a Devo and a TM Evo. I also did not run the Irida in real life. I ran a 4th Arbin, and I like that a lot. Also, another thing about Gardy, I've been considering just cutting the Greninja. I almost don't like the Greninja in the list. Like in this list, you could cut Greninja for a Cresselia. I guess that's what this list is missing. So the Nest Ball would probably be a Cresselia. You could definitely get rid of Greninja though. I don't really think you need it. But this version is a lot of fun. It's definitely going to need to practice it before playing it. It's kind of hard to figure out on the fly, like all the weird numbers and math and stuff you have to do with fluttermane to like set up Devo plays and stuff. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to play. Definitely try it out. But this is definitely something I'm going to be considering at my locals. I might try and figure out a way to play an Unfair Stamp over the Hyper Aroma though. And I would definitely make the Irida a 4th Arbin. I'm actually going to do that now. I don't like the Irida in here. I'm not crazy about it. I do wish they would, when you import decks, that it would do the one you have the most amount of copies of, but this version, oh yeah, I'm also going to switch the energy. A lot of fun. Can beat a lot of matchups. You can find ways to win in a lot of games. It's just a little more challenging to figure out. Chien-Pao is super good right now. I am trying out this list right now. It's got a 3/3 Babarrel. Yeah, I'm still doing 3 Chien-Pao. One of my friends was playing a list like this and he really liked it. He was drawn well with it. but I think he only had 2 Chien-Pao in there. I opted to keep the 3rd Chien-Pao, 3 Barrel. You're trying to get out 2 Barrel every game with this list. 4 Candy. I'm not 100% sure if you need 4 Candy right now. Because TM Devo doesn't seem to be as popular as it was, but with you can get ready candies with this. You could also cut this for a second Cypher, a boss, a counter catcher, a second vessel. You could cut it for a lot of different things, but Chien-Pao is definitely in a pretty decent spot right now. You can also do 3 Backs Caliber if you want to try to get out 2 Backs, 2 Barrel, and, you know, have like a pretty solid board. Definitely good right now. Charizard. I hate this deck so much, but it is so good. And it's only getting better next format. So it honestly might not be a bad time to start playing Charizard, start learning the deck. There's definitely some intricate plays you can make with it. Some weird situations. The mirror is hard. Really good deck, really strong deck. It can beat anything. It seems to just draw insane for a stage 2 deck. I think this is just the average Charizard deck. The one thing I was thinking about cutting Cleffa for a second Rotom, because with all the Monkey Dory around right at this moment, Cleffa is a big liability. It's just literally a free prize in matchups that are playing Monkey. But other than that, we got the Kieran in here. 1 Temple, 1 Collapsed. I think that's a good split. I think you could also play an Enhanced Hammer over the Temple, but I opted to just have a second Stadium Bump in here. And it's not like Gardy where the Enhanced Hammer, you're going to hammer off Legacy Energy and then Screamtail snipe the Archeops. You're just going to knock out whatever's in front of you, and you want to shut off Gift and Legacy Energy, so went with the Sinnoh. But pretty straightforward, just consistent Charizard. It's strong, it's only getting better. It's here to stay, unfortunately. Lost Box is one of my favorite decks for the past couple of years. I'm playing it a little bit different than Hedric's list. I like this a lot. People are... Oh, that's another thing. Wizard right now. Sorry, I just don't mean to go backwards, but I don't know what I would cut. But I would definitely consider playing a Jirachi in here. I think Lost Box is really good, especially if you have people at your locals that you know are going to be playing Lost Box. You're going to want Jirachi in there. Probably second counter catcher for Jirachi. But Lost Box, I'm playing 2 Sableye. Like I was just saying, people are not playing Jirachi right now. So Sableye is really strong. 2 Sableye, 2 Psychic Energy. Manaphy for the Mirror and Chien-Pao. I'm still not 100% sure about that. About if Manaphy is actually good or not in here. Because it is kind of just like a bench spot. And in the Mirror, it's like... No, it definitely helps in the Mirror. I was just thinking that it was just something for Sableye to knock out, but Greninja is gonna knock out 2 your comfies. So Manaphy for the Mirror, it's fine. I don't think it hurts consistency all that much. You could cut it for a second Pokegear or back for the 4th Pokestop or a 4th switch. It's all up to you. I did cut one of the switches because I was playing Lost Box with 4 switch cart, 3 switch for the longest time. I know it's like gonna make it slightly less turbo, but my logic is when you have 8 switch, it's just that much more often that you see it off of flower selecting, so you're more likely to get rid of one anyway, which kind of makes it so you have 7 switch to begin with. And I don't know, it makes sense in my head, but can't go wrong with Lost Box. You can also play the Roaring Moon version. That's still very strong. You would yeah, that list's totally different. I was gonna say what you could cut and switch around for that, but it's just so much different. You gotta like cut a vacuum with Pokestop, switch the energy around, but yeah. So those are the decks that I would recommend to play at locals right now. I think that all these decks are in very good spots. I think you could win a League Cup or League Challenge with any one of these decks, no problem. I think Miraidon could be the hardest, but if there's a lot of Lugia at your locals, Miraidon's perfectly fine, and you're gonna run through it. Yeah, try it out. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about the list. These are, I don't know, I always kind of make my list like a little bit different, but not too far from whatever the norm is, because you know everyone building decks is like so streamlined at this point that everyone could build, you know, the same archetype and come up with the same 56 cards. It's just going to be like 4 little things that are different, but this is just what I like different in each deck. So, you know, like or dislike and comment and subscribe. Let me know what you think. And yeah, have fun at your cup. Have fun at your cups and good luck to all of you. Have a good one. Happy 4th of July as well.